Hello, welcome to Monday Moose. My name's Graham Campbell, and this is
Roland Hayward.
It's really good to be back. We've had a couple of weeks where we've been a bit under the not the royal we, but I have been a bit under the weather, and we've struggled to get a Monday Moose out. But it's great to be back here and have a special guest with Roland, and it's going to be even doubly exciting today because we're actually, if you can't read this T-shirt, Roland is a wine expert, so we're going to do some wine tasting for you. I wish it was sort of smelly and taste-o-vision, but it isn't. You're just going to have to take my word for it when we taste them. But before we get into all of that, I just thought I would talk a little bit about social media. I'm going to have a bit of a rant, actually, but hopefully give you a bit of advice off the back of that, because there's two things that have really riled me this last week. One is, and I come back to it again and again, is seeing a business account with evidence of having bought social media followers. Now, what makes this doubly, triply, 10 times worse is that particular business is a social media agency. Now, I just hasten to add that it's not one within our sort of East Lancs network, but it is a northwest-based agency. How do I know, and how would you know if someone had bought them? Well, there are some clues when you look at an account. Let's take Twitter as an example. If you look at an account and they've got a ridiculously high following number, but very few, a ridiculously high followers number, but very few following, then that's a little bit of an indication. The easiest sort of way to look, though, is if they've not posted much and have got this large following. That's often a giveaway. And when I say much, I mean thousands of times to get thousands. If you've got thousands of followers, you need to have posted hundreds of times, really, unless you're famous or you've got a particularly strong brand, at least. But mainly, have a look at the content, have a look at the feeds, and if it's not particularly interesting, and they've got thousands of followers, then that tells you something as well. So there are a few indications, and then what I use is a little tool online called Twitter Audit, and that will tell you how many of those followers are actually fake as well. It has little algorithms in it, and it'll look for spam accounts and those types of ones that get bought. And my suspicions were raised when I saw a post from this agency. I ran it through and it had less than 35% of real followers amongst its 10,000 following. So that just annoys me, really. It annoys me for businesses because you don't get anything from it. And it particularly annoys me for a social media agency, because if you as a business are going to entrust your social media posting as strategy to an agency that has bought followers, then you're not necessarily, you just aren't going to get any return from your investment, and they're pulling the wool over your eyes, really. So I was very annoyed with that. I'm not going to name them. I toyed with whether I should, but it's just not going to. The other thing that has annoyed me as well is and this happens more than you would believe, is a client came on board with us this last week, and 2 weeks ago actually, and we've still not managed to get all their accounts migrated from their previous agency who was managing their social media accounts. This happens quite a lot, and you know what? The client doesn't have the details themselves. It's all resting with the agency. That's all your collateral, all your brand on social in the hands of a third party who is now unwilling to pass that over. That rails me so much. It doesn't matter what that state of that relationship got to in the end. It is yours as the business owner of those social media profiles. It is your intellectual property. It's your property. Don't be held hostage to it. And in the case of, in this case, it looks like we're going to have to start from ground zero again, because we are not making any progress with getting handover of those accounts. So, spent time building up a following, building up an audience, and are now going to have to start again, and that is not great. So if you are a business, just make sure, if you are going with an agency, with an individual that's going to manage your social media, that you retain control of your passwords, of your of the management side, that you can still post, that you still know all that detail behind the scenes, so that you can't be held hostage. You can just migrate it whenever you need to. I know that's not appealing to some of you, that you'd rather just pass it all over, and that's fine. Just make a note of what the details are, so that if it comes a time where you do have to move, it just happens smoothly and you can't be held hostage. Right. All that's done. Those are my top tips if you're getting involved. But much more important stuff. I need to introduce you to Roland, who is the silver fox of wines. And I'm absolutely delighted to have him on. He's been a pal in business for quite a long time now, and I've sampled quite a few of his wares over the weeks and months. But we're actually going to do it officially this morning. Rather than me just quaffing it back, we're going to actually have a little taste. So I'm going to hand over to Roland and sort of have a bit of a talk about what Silver Fox wines are, and then we're going to go and crack open this bottle that's looking at me over here. So Roland, come on, tell us a little bit about Silver Fox wines, what you do, who you are, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I work out of Thornton Cleveleys, which is in between Blackpool and Fleetwood, and
Okay.
I don't have a shop. I work from home. I do home wine tastings. So I go to people's homes with wine, let them taste the wine so they can try before they buy.
Yeah.
The other thing I do, obviously, is sell online.
Yeah.
So people can visit the website, which is www.silverfoxwines.co.uk.
We'll put it across there.
And which
We'll have a rolling.
that's great, because the more advertising, the better. And I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
It's a passion, and it's not just drinking the wine that's a passion. It's talking about it. I enjoy giving people a little bit of education about how to improve the taste of their wine. Doesn't matter where they buy it from. Doesn't matter if they buy it from me or buy it from Tesco's or some other wine merchant. It's enjoying the wine that you buy.
Yeah.
I always say there is no bad wine unless it's off.
Yeah.
Because the best wine in the world is the one that you like.
Yes, absolutely.
I might not like it, but if you like it, it's the best wine in the world. And it doesn't matter what the cost is, you know. But you just have to be aware of what you're drinking, you know. And that's what I try to instill in people.
Yeah, while you're on that, we had an interesting conversation about imported wine. I'd bought some wine as a gift, not from Roland actually, and Roland just gave me a very quick pointer as to how to know whether it's sort of bottled at source or whether it's shipped over in massive vats and then sort of it's a commercially sort of produced sort of thing. Maybe tell people about that.
It's fairly interesting. I mean, a lot of people don't realise that there's £2 duty on every bottle of wine and 20% VAT as well. So when you take out all the costs of the production and everything and all the taxes, then you've got to think, well, how much am I actually getting in the wine? There's about 83% of Australian wine, for example, that is drunk in this country, in the UK, is actually bottled here. And an easy way to see is look on the back label. And it will say on the back label generally that it's bottled in the UK. I have a UK postcode. So it's quite an easy tip.
And price point, presumably.
Price
as well.
point, yeah. Well, obviously it's cheaper to send wine over in a hugely big plastic bag in the hold of a ship, because you haven't got the weight of the bottles and the space that's taken up.
Yeah.
So the wine can be sold out cheaper. But obviously you've then got the preservative side of things, so it has to be preserved. So you'll probably find that there are more sulfite contents in that style of wine than there would be in a wine that's bottled at source.
Yes.
And on the back of the label generally of a wine that's bottled in source, it will actually say bottled at wherever winery, wherever it is. Yes. So just a little clue to look. Just look on the back label and see where it is produced and bottled.
Perfect. There you go. First tip done.
Yeah, and the other thing, really, are two major things that I try to show people is how to improve the wine that they've bought.
Okay.
Two key things are temperature and air.
Okay.
Temperature is very important because a winemaker makes the wine and wants it served at the temperature he has envisaged.
Yes.
And most people will serve white wine too cold and red wine too warm.
Yeah.
If you have something like a Pinot Noir, that should be served, which is a red wine, a very light red wine, or a Beaujolais, which probably a lot of people will be familiar with, should be served around about 12 degrees.
Okay.
So not room temperature.
Yeah.
Room temperature nowadays is up around 20, 22 degrees.
Not in our house.
Well, we've got to remember with central heating,
Yeah,
double
absolutely,
glazing.
yeah.
That's and as people get older, my mother-in-law lives with us, and we have to keep the temperature quite high
Yeah.
because her blood's thinning. You know, as people get older,
Yeah.
they enjoy wine, but they suffer the cold more.
Yes.
So 20, 22 degrees is just too warm.
Yeah.
A full-bodied red wine like a Shiraz, a Cabernet Sauvignon, shouldn't be served any more than 18 degrees.
Okay.
Now we're going to try a little sample of a Primitivo, which is from Italy, from Puglia region. That on the back label actually says 16 to 18 degrees.
Okay.
So we're going to try that now. It is actually at ideal temperature at the moment, and the reason I know that is because
Well, I'll put.
I have a little gadget here.
Look at that. It's like an ice hockey puck.
It is. It's a little wine thermometer. It's wireless, and it has two parts. One is a little clip that fits around the bottle, and that transmits the temperature of the wine to this. Now that bottle, when I first picked it up this morning to bring over, was registering about 20, 22 degrees, so I put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge, cooled it down till this went blue. So if this was it's got three colour codes on, so at an ideal temperature it'll be green, if it's too warm it'll be red, if it's too cold it'll be blue. You've got 10 presets, so it will actually tell you when the wine is at an ideal temperature, and as you can see it's glowing green, so we know that that is an ideal temperature at 16 to 18 degrees.
Shall we crack it open?
So we're going to crack this open, and then we're going to do the other thing, which is air.
Right. Well, let's
So
taste it without the air
We'll
first.
taste this without the air. So there's.
It's
you
very
can hear
rare that it does touch air.
We don't need a lot. Just a little taste.
Oh, I won't twirl it.
So even without swirling, when you swirl a wine, obviously that injects air in.
Yeah.
But a nice smell. Primitivo it's just natural for me to swirl.
I know. I was just about to do it myself.
Primitivo is classed as a full-bodied red, medium full-bodied red.
Okay.
It's actually the same grape variety, believe it or not, as Zinfandel.
Okay.
So if you get Zinfandel from California, you're actually drinking the same grape variety with a Primitivo.
But is this like a native Italian grape, or well obviously it's Zinfandel.
It's
as well,
Zinfandel grape, but
yeah.
in Italy they will call it Primitivo, and
Okay.
this happens in a lot of countries where a grape variety will be the same. It's like in Australia, for example, in the southern hemisphere, Shiraz is a full-bodied red wine,
Yeah.
but in France, in the northern hemisphere, it's generally known as Syrah.
Yes.
Exactly the same grape varieties, but obviously they will taste slightly different because the different soils and different areas and weather that are making up
Okay. Yeah.
as the grapes grow on the vines. So nice smell. Pick up the bouquets, sort of a cherry sort of blackcurrant smell to that.
Yeah.
You pick that up.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just a little taste, a small amount in the mouth, swirl it in the mouth, get the taste buds working. That's got really nice lingering taste, but it's you can taste the blackcurrant there.
You definitely can taste the blackcurrant. And there's a bit of sharpness to it as well, isn't there?
Notice we didn't spit it out.
Who would be so rude to do that?
We don't do that because I didn't bring a spittoon.
Yeah.
No, I mean generally, if you're tasting a lot of wines, then you know you need to spit out because otherwise you're going to get blathered.
Stay tuned for when we get on to the 200th bottle.
Yeah, but this Primitivo, this wine is very, very popular with my customers.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a really nice wine, easy drinking.
Yeah, definitely the black currants and cherries there.
When tasting wine, if you can suck a little bit of air in without choking yourself, that will help to evaporate the aromas and the flavours so they reach the back of your nose. That's where all your taste is. A lot of the taste comes from the olfactory glands, the back of the nose. When you've got a cold, you can't taste food.
Anything. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the reason, because your glands are all blocked up.
Perfect.
So the next thing we're going to do, we know that's at the right temperature, so the next thing we're going to do is aerate it. And the way to aerate wine, everyone knows about opening the old wives' tale, open a bottle of wine, leave it on, especially red wine, more so than white, leave it on the side for a couple of hours and that'll aerate the wine. But it doesn't do much because there's very little surface area in the neck of a bottle.
Is that why they say to decant it?
So you decant it.
Yeah.
Now, with a red wine, if a full-bodied red wine needs to be decanted into a wide-bottomed decanter.
Yeah.
So you've got as much surface area as possible. If it's a lighter red wine, it doesn't need to be quite so wide-bodied.
Okay.
But it needs to be decanted half an hour to an hour before you're going to drink it. Not everybody's got a decanter.
Yeah.
So I actually sell another little gadget, which is an aerator. That's all it is. It's a little Venturi. So you pour the wine through this into your glass, and that spins the wine, injects air in, and makes...
Now, if you've got one of these, I mean, obviously it's saved. Is it still advisable to decant it as well, or is this sort of the bottle's just ready? We're having our drinks now. Let's just get the maximum value from it.
Yeah,
rather than leave it to.
I mean, I use this if I get in from work and I want a glass of wine. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing, of course, is that you decant something. If you need to chill it down a bit, you can't get a decanter in the fridge.
Yeah.
Not easily.
Yeah.
So if you get in and you want to chill, your wine's a bit too warm, put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Chill it down a little bit. Then when you pour it out, and then what we're going to do, I'm going to pour this through here.
Okay.
You'll see how it works. There you go. And then just taste that and see whether you get a difference.
So it's only the 5th bottle. Yeah, we're all right.
So that opens up straight away. It opens up the aromas. It's so simple.
I wish you had smelly vision. It does make a massive difference already. It almost smells richer. That sounds strange.
Yeah.
Almost like it's a more, and I know you can't smell thickness or viscosity, but almost like it's a...
And we haven't got a script here. I haven't scripted him. Promise you.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Hey,
But it does. It just, aerating wine just opens up the flavours for you.
Right, let's have a... Wow. I didn't give it a full because I could just...
Did you feel that straight away?
Yeah.
It just smooths it out.
To me, and this sounds terrible, and I sound all white. It's the difference between having a little compote of blackberries on the side, and using that to sort of add a bit of tartness to your ice cream, whatever, or having a raspberry full with all the cream mixed in.
You make my mouth water.
Yeah, it's yeah, lovely.
It just opens up. And when I do this sort of demonstration to people, particularly when I'm at country shows, on the first day of a country show, I'll let someone taste the wine just as you have, and then I'll put it through an aerator and let them taste it a second time. And generally, that's when I sell the aerators. On the second day, the wine's been open,
Yeah, sure.
so it's aerated. You don't get the same effect. Well, you get the effect, but it's not so startling because. So I don't sell the aerators on the second or third day.
Yeah.
Simply because the wine's aerated.
Okay. Which sort of brings me to a bit of a question, a selfish question, really, because my wife isn't a big drinker, so a lot of the time when we're cracking open a bottle of wine, there's always, a glass and a half left at the bottle because I've had the majority of it. The wife, depending on what it will be, might have had half a glass, but more often than not, it's just for me. So then, there it goes, back in the fridge. If it's white, whatever, and it'll sit there. And if it's Christmas, I might finish it off. If it isn't, what's the sort of? I mean, generally, I just go in, and if it smells off, it goes down the sink, or I'll have a little taste. If it's all right, I might use it in a bit of cooking. But how long after you've opened a bottle is it going to last for? Now, that sounds a horrible question, given that I like my wine, but it's just reality. I don't always get through a bottle.
Absolutely. I mean, not everybody. I mean, people will arrive home from work, fancy a glass of wine, and that's all they want for that evening.
Yeah.
You mentioned putting the white wine in the fridge. What's wrong with putting the red wine in?
Yeah.
What happens is air and oxygen is evil as far as wine is concerned.
Yeah.
Because it eventually it will eventually turn it to vinegar.
Yes.
But the wine needs air initially. I liken it to when you open a bottle of wine of anyone driving from up here in Lancashire. I mean, I go down to Windsor quite often. If I drive down all the way non-stop, the first thing I do when I get out of the car, even before I dash to the loo, is stretch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you do the same with the wine.
Yeah.
Let the wine open up, get its body moving. That's what the aeration does. But going back to how long a bottle of wine will last, if you put it in the fridge, it will slow down its deterioration.
Okay.
Because it's cold. Another thing you can do, and the problem you have is the more you take out of the bottle, the more air is in the bottle.
Yeah, sure.
So the quicker it's going to go off. But a little trick, if you buy yourself a little vacuum pump system, these corks, stick that in the top, pump the air out. That will make it last longer.
Okay.
But generally, 3 to 4 days
Okay.
for a decent wine. Generally, the cheaper industrially produced wines were likely to go off much quicker.
Okay.
They're meant to be opened and drunk straight away.
Yes.
But I mean, I've had wines a week.
Yeah.
Of the wines, the type of wines I sell.
Yeah.
I've had them a week, and they're still perfectly good after the week. Okay, they may deteriorate slightly, but the average person isn't going to notice.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody like Gilly Goulden, mentioning a name, or Oz Clarke, may well notice that deterioration because they are top experts and they know they're tasting wines all the time.
Yeah.
But the average person probably wouldn't notice much difference.
Yeah.
But you just have to be careful.
Perfect. Well, I think on that bombshell, unless we've got any other lines hidden, he says, and we've hardly touched that bottle, but it is only 10:15 in the morning.
It's a twirly wine.
A twirly wine.
Yeah,
What
it's a wine. A twirly wine
Does that mean when you?
Well, when I'm at shows
God.
before 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
I ask someone if they want to have a taste, and they say it's too early.
Ah,
so this is a twirly wine.
Ah, I like
Yeah,
it.
so it's a wine that's maybe too early to drink.
Okay.
But
I like it.
we've sampled it.
I love it. We might have a bottle in the at Moose Towers for Christmas. Thank you, Roland, for coming in. That's really, brilliant.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to put all Roland's details along the bottom here. I suggest you get in touch because he sells wines that you're not going to find in Tesco. He can talk you through them, and you know what? Sometimes you think, oh, independent wine expert or whatever, it must be all top end, and I'm sure you do sell lots of top end wines, but you know, he can talk you through any price point that you've got, and the wines that I've had have been spectacular. So I thoroughly recommend Roland, and also the advice that he gives. Hopefully you've had some of that through today, and yeah, give him a contact, especially before Christmas. Get some Christmas orders in, and just have a taste, and if you want, have a play with some of Roland's toys. The old aerator did make a massive difference. Maybe that is a little gift for somebody.
Makes a great Christmas gift to a wine
Christmas,
drinker.
and you can point to this video as a demonstration of, but just try it yourself. Okay. How much are these?
The aerators
Yeah.
are £10.
Can't go wrong with that. Fit in your stocking. Great present for anybody that likes a little drink of wine.
That Primitivo, incidentally, just to give you a price point,
Yeah.
$7.99.
Flipping out. Didn't taste like one.
Because I don't have a shop, I can keep my prices at a respectable level.
Okay.
So people are getting good quality wine
Yeah.
at respectable prices.
Yeah. Perfect. What more can you say than that? Thanks for listening. Thanks, Roland.
Thank
and
you.
We'll see you next week. Hopefully, we'll have some more alcohol next week. I don't know where we're going to source it from, but I quite like where this is going. See you later.
Mediamanagement.com